Hello, Marianne. Hello, Stephen. Hello, everybody. So I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to do before we do it. We're going to do a belated Oban service tonight. So Oban is a memorial service that you can have. It's just an opportunity to remember departed ancestors, teachers, good friends, people like that, anybody that you want to remember and acknowledge. And we're doing it tonight for a couple of reasons. One of them is that we would normally do it in the summer. It usually happens in kind of depending on which school of Buddhism you're dealing with, which culture they do. It usually happens during the summer, around the middle of the rainy season in India, is kind of the way that's timed. And the reason for that is that it takes advantage of all the merit being generated by the monks who would have been assembled wherever the Buddha was at that time. But we weren't meeting in person at that point of the summer. And so, and I had talked to Kenneth, who had an old friend named Lynn, who passed away, and as far as you know, never got any kind of memorial service. Is that correct? Yeah. So I said, well, the perfect thing to do for that would be to do a ceremony on Oban and dedicate that, the merit from that to her. So that's kind of the central thing that happens in an Oban service, or Ulambana, by the way. If you're Oban is Japanese, Ulambana is pretty much the rest of Buddhism. Is to take that time and dedicate an Oban service to that person. And the central ceremony for that is feeding the hungry ghost. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone who dies becomes a hungry ghost, or that Lynn was a hungry ghost, but that's the service that we do. So we're basically doing our practice, and we're dedicating the results of our practice to departed friends, ancestors, teachers, and people who may have lived lives that were so consumed by craving that their rebirth was hungry ghost, and they can't get out of that without offerings from people like us. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We'll go ahead and include our usual meditation after the. We'll go ahead and do that after the Gata of Atonement, before the rest of the service. So we're going to open with the verse of the Kesa and the Gata of Atonement, as we always do. And then we'll meditate, and then we'll do the incense offering and do the rest of the service from there. Does that make sense to everybody? Did everybody get a copy of the service? Okay, good. Gata of Atonement? Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Gata of Atonement. And then one more. There you go. all evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. So we'll do a 20-minute guided meditation. Yeah, you can just put that down. I'm sorry, a 20-minute silent meditation. Timer, so if you want to time yours and mute your sound or whatever, that's fine. Please for the incense offering. Vows. Fragrance of this incense invites the awakened mind to be present. It fills this sacred space, guards our minds from wrong thinking. Fragrance of this incense unites us with virtue, mindfulness, and wisdom. We offer it on behalf of all beings. Be seated. Homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Gate of sweet nectar. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami. Being one with the Buddha in the 10 directions, being one with the Dharma in the 10 directions, being one with the Sangha in the 10 directions, being one with all the formless forms throughout space and time, being one with our original teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha, being one with the great Manjusri Bodhisattva, being one with Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, being one with the great compassionate Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, being one with the Mahaprajna Paramita, being one with the unconditioned Tathagata, being one with the boundless Tathagata, please nourish and sustain us, being one with the inconceivable body, Tathagata, let the nectar of Dharma spring forth, being one with all Buddhas in turning the water wheel of compassion. Namo Avalokiteshvara, Namo Avalokiteshvara, Namo Avalokiteshvara. Supplication for the raising of the Bodhi mind, vow to feed the hungry spirits. Raising the Bodhi mind, the supreme meal is offered to all the hungry spirits throughout space and time, filling the smallest particle to the largest space. All you hungry spirits in the 10 directions, please gather here, sharing your distress. I offer you this food, hoping it will resolve your thirst and hungers. Prayer of food sharing. I pray that all who receive this offering will return its merits to all Buddhas and to all creations throughout space and time. In this way, they will be thoroughly satisfied. Prayer for raising the Bodhi mind. I further pray that in receiving this meal, all your suffering will be eliminated and that you will be liberated, so that being joyously reborn, you will play freely in the fields of the pure, raising the Bodhi mind. Practicing the enlightened way, you become the future Buddhas without any further regrets. Those who realize the way first, please vow to liberate all others throughout space and time. Prayer to fulfill these vows. I further beseech you to sustain me day and night and give me courage to fulfill my vows. Prayer for transferring the merit of this practice. In offering this meal, I pray that you give its merits equally to all creations in the Dhamma world. Please transfer the merit of this offering to the Dhamma world through reality to unsurpassable enlightenment, to all the Buddha's wisdoms. With all our love, with all our spirits, with all our might, inviting misery and suffering no longer, we vow to accomplish the way. May all creations in the Dharma world swiftly accomplish the Buddha way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all Bodhisattvas, Mahasattva, Mahaprajna, Paramita, all Buddhas throughout space and time, all Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Mahaprajna, Paramita, all Buddhas throughout space and time, Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Mahaprajna, Paramita. Now I have raised the Bodhi mind. 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 I say it and then you say it. We do that 3 times. We never did this before. It's the first time. We're going to do the same thing on the next one. I am the Buddhas and they are me.
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 Gotcha for transferring merit. By this practice, I sincerely wish to extend all my love to my own being, friends, enemies, family, and community, and to all creation for so much done on my behalf. May those who practice in this realm continue to empower, to enrich, and to enjoy. May those who have gone be released from suffering and nourish peacefulness. May all creations in the 3 worlds receive loving benefaction. May all suffering from the 3 paths come to atonement and be cleansed of all their ills. May they be liberated from samsara and arise in the Pure Land together. Dedication. This is our life, the length of our days, day and night we meditate upon it. And we'll close with the great vows. We repeat these 3 times. Creations are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transform them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The enlightened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transform them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The enlightened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transform them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The enlightened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody. Please stand and face the altar. 3 vows to the altar. To the teacher. To each other. Thank you. Good. What do you think? Any questions or comments about that?
Did we, one Halloween or something, do this? And did we take the food outside?
So, yes. So, we've done it. So the traditional thing is that you've got one group of people doing it inside, but the food and stuff actually goes outside. But at White Sands, they do both. They have the altar outside and inside. So we were doing this pretty much every Halloween for a while, and sometimes we would set it up outside. Because the first year we did it, we were set up back there, and it's not in here now. But there's one of those easel things with the dry erase board on it that's floating around here somewhere. And it was in the corner of the room, and the altar was back there. And so one of the ideas is that if you're doing feeding the hungry ghosts, you don't invite them inside. So that's why you would put some outside. Well, we didn't do that. And so we had a bunch of Halloween candy out there. And we did the feeding the hungry ghost ceremony. And then we sat in meditation. And about halfway through the meditation, that easel board just went. And I'm sure there must have been an air current somewhere or something that caused that to happen. But it was kind of freaky. So after that, a couple of people insisted that we feed the hungry ghosts outside. But since we're doing it, so the thing is, as an Oban thing, especially doing it as a memorial to a particular individual, you wouldn't put her outside, So we have the altar set up in here with Ksitigarbha, by the way, which we didn't have at the altar that time. So Ksitigarbha, the Japanese name is Jizo, is the bodhisattva of the underworld. So he made a vow to keep being reborn in hells until the hells were all emptied. And so that's why we use Ksitigarbha. And so that's why the altar didn't fall over during meditation.
Could you describe the hungry ghost to him?
Yeah.
About him?
So if you live a life that's really driven by craving, then the result of that, it may be that you're reborn a hungry ghost. And a hungry ghost is they're depicted with a huge cavernous belly and a long skinny neck, and sometimes with little beak-like mouths. And so it's very difficult for them to get full, to get enough food. But also, unless the food is offered to them, for them, then it will turn into hot coals or something disgusting when they try to eat it. And so the idea is that we do this, we feed the hungry ghost in order that the hungry ghost can be nourished, but also they're benefiting from our gift. Okay, so you don't have to believe in hungry ghosts if you don't want to. It's okay. You'll see that there are people whose lives are consumed by greed or by craving or by whatever. And it doesn't have to be for drugs or alcohol or anything like that. It can be for status, for fame, for, whatever. Anything that you're greedy for. Think about what greed means. Greed means that you never have enough. And so that's why this sort of cavernous belly that can never get full. But the purpose of this really, in terms of our spiritual development, is for us to learn to give and to learn to recognize craving in ourselves and in others and its effects. And so, if we give to the hungry ghosts in a service, maybe we'll recognize the hungry ghosts that are around us and we'll be more generous with them. Does that make sense? I see a question or two had come in online. So the scent of this particular incense that we're using, I wanted to try cone incense here because a little bit better with this setup than the joss sticks or the Japanese like solid stick. And it happens to be what we could get in cone form, which is Nag Champa. You like it?
I do.
Yeah, I like it too. It's one of my favorite scents. More traditional would be sandalwood, but this works. It can be anything. We're actually not giving the incense, we're offering the fragrance.
Where did you get this incense at?
I think we might have gotten it online. I don't remember for sure. It's a little difficult to find cone incense. You see it in a lot of the Asian markets, but this one over here didn't have it. But like if you're ever down in Orlando in the Little Saigon section, they'll probably have it in the Asian markets there. That's what they use at White Sands all the time, so the cones. Well, they use a bunch of things, but when Kai Tin is there, he's always got some cones up front. And by the way, I could tell who the regulars at White Sands were because you were comfortable with all that feeding the hungry ghost recitations. It's good. And someone on Justice Online also mentioned that there's a mindfulness app that will ring a bell periodically. I think that's true. And just remind you to come back to the present moment. I think he said that as an alternative to those who want one for the insight timer, which I think doesn't do that. I think all it does is times meditations and has guided meditations and other stuff. Anyway. Any other questions?
Well, I'd like you to share with them your future plans.
So I don't really want to do that on a live stream. We'll talk about that afterward. Okay, we'll talk after the meeting. All right then. Does everybody know the usual dedication of merit that we do? I'll take that as a no. All right, we won't do that then. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for being here. And some of us are going to hang around and talk.